How old slash big does a child need to be for their first balance bike? Okay, great question. So, and I can show you a bike in a minute. So there's two answers to that question. The general answer is, if a child has a leg length, an inside leg length of about 30 centimetres, that's a good enough metric. And roughly, that is around age 2. So there's the quick answer to your question. The longer answer is, there are bikes for 1-year-olds, and I've got one next to me just so you can see it. And this is the smallest bike that we've ever seen, and it's made by Frog, and that inside leg length I think is closer to 20 centimetres, and it's a tiny, tiny, tiny bike. So you can start balance biking at age 1, if not before, and we've even, just to really stretch that question, we've even had children who have learnt to walk after they've learnt to cycle. And by way of example, you'll probably know about these four-wheeler things. Scuttlebugs is perhaps the best example, but something quite rigid with 4 wheels, or tricycles, again, quite rigid with 4 wheels. And what I have here is just something with 4 wheels that again is quite rigid, that you can see. And we always have this for demo, just to say, look, it's a rigid thing with 4 wheels. Something slightly more exotic with 4 wheels, which to all intents and purposes looks the same, but has this little wobble. So on the front wheel, I'll try and hold it to the camera so you can see it in a useful way. If you see the front wheels, they wobble up and down, which mean when your little one is on it, they're starting to learn to balance. So there are lots of, you can start this really, really, really early, but equally you can start it much later as well. Certainly around 2.5 is a very natural point to start to want to do this, and even to use the 2 things I just showed you as walkers, or as toys. And I think back to my son when he was really little, we were given a balance bike, and I'm quite convinced, well, we're both quite convinced that he was quite frightened of the bike, so we just left it in the corner of a room for him. And I've heard the same from lots of other parents. And I always say there's just no need to push this. It will come, and if at the core your little one is just happy playing with a bike, that's a really lovely start. And you know, back to the sessions that we hope to do again shortly, for us cycling is all about a journey. It's all about collecting something, or the opportunity to sing a song, or the opportunity to draw with chalk on the ground. That we feel is particularly a really early age is super, super important. Much more important than the nuts and bolts of how far can you cycle, how fast can you cycle. So I hope that's answered that question.